So today we're gonna learn how to speak in third person. This is the next step. How do we do that? Remember that we changed the me for te into second person. Well, for third person it's slightly more complex than this. If it's direct object, what is a direct object? This is when someone receives the action of the verb in first place. So if it's masculine, it's gonna be lo. If it's feminine, it's gonna be la. Okay? But this is gonna get a slightly more complex than that. For indirect object, it is me, it is te, but then it is le. Good news is that le applies for both, for masculine and feminine, and this translates into English as to him or to her. For those who don't know what indirect object means, it means that the thing or the person that receives the action of the verb in second place. For instance, if I give you the gift is my direct object because it's receiving the action of my verbs in first place. And if I give it to you, you receive also the action of my verb but in second place. So you become my indirect object. That's why in English we say, I give it to him, I give it to her, right? So this is the indirect object. But there's gonna be one more rule. When it's a pronominal verb or reflexive verb, what is that? Just like the word says it, reflection. When the action of the verb is reflected towards yourself instead of being transitive towards something else or towards someone else, you do it to yourself. Something like, I see myself, okay, like in the mirror, my reflection, that's why it's called reflexive verb. All right, so in Spanish, when we do something to ourselves, we use the word se for third person. And yes, se and self are cognates. So it's gonna be me, te, and then se. So as you can see, the difference between first person and second person is not really big. It's the same for the three cases. For direct object, indirect object, and reflexive, it's me, te. But when it comes to third person, that starts getting different. So it is lo, la, direct object, le, indirect object, and se, reflexive object. I'll give you some advice to remember this. When it's se, think about self in English, okay? So when I say me llamo, I call myself or I claim myself to be. This is reflexive. So te llamas, it's gonna be second person and third person, se llama. He calls himself or she calls herself. So for the possessive adjectives, this is gonna be really easy. Mi, then is tú, and for third person is su. We just replace the T for the S, and that's it. Su or sus. That's it. Tengo, I have. Tienes, you have. Tiene, he or she has. So basically what we're doing this, we are dropping the S. That's all you need to do. Regardless whether it's a pink verb or a yellow orange verb. You just drop the S and that's it. Nací. I was born. Naciste. You were born. Nació or nació. This is third person. This is simple past. Remember that it's not following the same patterns as present tense. And finally, what I said about verbs. Endings for I is o, except for a few verbs that is hoy. Endings for you, second person, singular, that's as or es. And for third person is a or e. We are just dropping the s. Okay, so now that we know the keywords, we're gonna start reading one text. And the first one I'm gonna read about, it's to say you formal. You might be wondering, you formal, Is that third person? And why is not second person like in English? Well, the answer is it is third person because the word usted, it is a contraction from vuestra merced, which means your mercy. So when we address to someone as your mercy wants, your mercy came, your mercy slept. In these cases, what we need to do is to conjugate it as you were addressing to your mercy, which is third person. So I'm gonna start reading my own text and then I'm gonna introduce myself in third person, but speaking formally to myself. Okay? So this is my text. Hola a todos. I'm not gonna say me llamo. Remember, when I say I call myself, this is reflexive. So we're gonna use the se one from self. Se llama. Llamar is a pink verb ending in ar. Se llama Juan Manuel y su apellido is not me, it's gonna be su, es Fernández. Pero sus amigos lo llaman Manolo. Why is lo? Because this is not reflexive. This is someone else doing the action to me. If I would be calling myself again Manolo, then would be reflexive, but this is not me calling myself Manolo. These are my friends calling me Manolo. So in English, this doesn't translate as my friends call himself Manolo, but his friends call him Manolo. So no need for the reflexive here, is direct object. Sus amigos lo llaman Manolo. His friends call him Manolo. Lo means him in English. So, tengo, I have, tienes, you have, tiene, your mercy has. Tiene 35 años. Nací, I was born. Naciste, you were born. Nació, he was born. Nació en Tampico or nació en Tampico. Soy mexicano. Eres mexicano. And your mercy is Mexican. Let me tell you something. You just replace the I from is for an I and it becomes es. So your mercy is Mexican. Usted es mexicano. And this is you are Mexican formally. If you say tú eres mexicano, this is informal. Usted es mexicano, this is formal. Both in singular, keep that in mind. So, usted es mexicano y mitad español. Pero, vivo, this is an orange verb, vives, vive en Grecia, o vive en Grecia. But your mercy lives in Greece. Soy profesor de idiomas. Eres profesor de idiomas. Es profesor de idiomas. Hablo español, inglés, francés, and so on and so on. It's not going to be hablo. It's not going to be hablas. It's going to be, what do we do here? Third person, we drop the S from hablas. Habla, your mercy speaks. Habla español, inglés, francés, and so on and so on. Me gusta. There's a catch here with me gusta. Me gusta, this is indirect object. So if it's indirect object, when we get to the third person, it's not going to be lo and la. It's going to be le. So let's recap. Me gusta, te gusta, le gusta. Your mercy likes. Le gusta. Le gusta salir con amigos. Salir, it means to go out, remember that? Salir con amigos. Comer, to eat. Comer en buenos restaurantes. Y viajar, to travel. So, I'm gonna sum it up. Hola a todos. Se llama Juan Manuel y su apellido es Fernández, pero sus amigos lo llaman Manolo. Tiene 35 años. Nació en Tampico. Es mexicano y mitad español, pero vive en Grecia. Es profesor de idiomas, habla español, inglés, etcétera, etcétera. Le gusta, your mercy likes, le gusta salir con amigos, comer en buenos restaurantes y viajar. So how was it? Slightly more complex than the previous one. But if you keep especially these three objects, direct object, indirect object, and reflexive, if you got these three, you will be okay for the next challenge. Let's recap. Direct object, who receives the action of the verb in first place? And we're gonna use me, te, lo, la. Indirect object, who receives the action of the verb in second place? And we're gonna use me, te, le. And the third one, reflexive pronoun, when you do the action to yourself. And that's me, te, se. And remember, se is a cognative of self. And self indicates that the action is done to yourself.
So if you like this class, remember that you can buy the whole A1 level on Udemy. You will find here all the vocabulary topics you need to learn from the A1 level, all the grammar topics, PDFs with all the information you need to learn, also some quizzes. And the best part is that we also offer a bundle or a feedback bundle, which means that you can interact with us. You send us a voice note and we will give you feedback on your pronunciation, on your grammar mistakes. This is something that AI cannot do. This is something that a real human being can give you, and that's honest feedback from a native speaker in your language. You can get up to 2 feedbacks for every lesson, and there are 32 lessons in total. So you're going to spend a good amount of hours speaking Spanish with us. To buy the course is really affordable. It costs around $10 depending on the country. Sometimes it's a bit more, sometimes a bit less. Remember that the feedback bundle is sold separately. So click on the link below, and I hope to see you next class.